Aggressive is the most overused term in the car community to describe mods. So here are 5 aggressive car mods that aren't actually aggressive. Eyelids. I never got how eyelids are supposed to make a car look angry. To me, it just makes a car look cuter if anything. Like, who's the angry little car? You are. Yes, you are. You're the angry little car. It's not fooling anyone into taking your Dodge Neon SRT4 any more seriously than they would a regular SRT4 with normal headlights. And while the intention of adding eyelids may not always be for the sake of looking more aggressive, some people just want to change the shape of their headlights by adding these inserts. But I just don't like them either way because they leave such a massive panel gap between the bumpers and headlights. And obviously this panel gap has always existed. But the difference is when your headlight housing is just a normal headlight housing, you don't notice it. But when there's a paint matched component sitting on top that is now adjacent to other paint matched components, now it screws with your eyes. And before you call me some senseless hater, trust me, I tried these myself. I even installed them on my personal vehicle. A lot of C7 owners, and especially even the older people, what surprised me is that they were actually okay with eyelids for this specific car, even going so far as to claim that this is one of the few cars that gets a pass for it because it makes the car look more like a Ferrari. And no, that just, the whole concept of that just disgusts me. Be proud of what you own first off. I hate it, alright? I had them on Leone for all of 2 weeks before I just ripped them off. It was like peeling plastic off a brand new phone. I experienced more satisfaction with removing them than I did having them on for the 2 weeks. The panel gap that they have, it's just unbearable. I try to minimize it by pushing the eyelids as close as possible to the edge and try to close it up. And I think I did a decent job, but from 15 feet or closer, you'll notice it. And if you're someone who goes to a lot of car shows or car meets, that's a problem, especially in my case where people are always hovering around my car, so they'll always notice it, and that definitely bugged me. Splitter rods. If done right, they can look like fangs. If done wrong, well, they just look like rice. And this time I mean the literal definition of rice, which is race-inspired cosmetic enhancement, as these are actual components that race cars use, but most people will instead use them on street cars for the sake of cosmetic purposes. Most street cars do not have a need for these. Their splitters are not long enough, nor are they thin enough. A lot of modern sports cars have really firm splitters due to material advancements. Gone are the days of plastic thin lunch trays, as splitters are pretty beefy these days. And the only time you still need these are for actual race splitters, ones that are really long but also really thin and really lightweight. But let's be honest, by the time you have a splitter that's coming out a foot or more from your car's front bumper, it better be an autocross demon or a time attack machine. I just don't see any reason why a street legal road car would need any of these other than for style. And okay, again, like eyelids, if you want to do this, that's fine. But the difference is, I don't find these ugly. If you do them right, like I said, I do think they can make a car look like it has fangs. It does look more aggressive to some extent. So I'm not going to hate you for doing them, but I personally just can't bring myself to really see the appeal of it because you're unnecessarily drilling holes in your front bumper and then in the splitter to then mount these. Tacked on diffuser fins. These suffer from the same issue that eyelids and splitter rods suffer from. They don't fit flush with your car's current panels and bumpers like eyelids do, but they also require you to drill into your bumpers just like with the other aforementioned splitter rods did. So this is a double whammy of questionable taste. If you want a diffuser, get a diffuser assembly, like an entire diffuser, alright? Do not just stick fins onto your current rear bumper. It looks terrible, and again, this is something that I unfortunately had personal experience with. I don't know what drugs I must have been on when I first got my C7. It was clout. Clout's one hell of a drug, guys. Atlanta does things to you. I ran these stupid tacked on diffuser fins on my C7. They looked horrible. Each fin was held on with 3 drilled holes and 3M tape in between. And guess what? They still wiggled under high speeds because they're obviously just tacked on. There's gaps in between them, which allows air to come through and just wiggle it around. The whole point of aero, if you don't know, is to be rigid. It's supposed to have air go around it or through it, not shake it and flex in the presence of it. Another reason I don't like this is that it's weight addition, useless weight addition. The C7 diffuser fins that you tack on the bumper, they weigh 20 pounds. And if you're wondering, oh well, that doesn't sound too bad, get this. The lower stock C7 rear bumper assembly, in its entirety, only weighs 15.6 pounds. You're probably like, really? That gigantic piece? Yes, I have weighed it myself. You can watch this video where I prove that, where I actually stand on a scale and subtract its weight from my body weight, and can confirm it weighs less than 16 pounds. So by putting 20-pound fins on a 16-pound bumper, you're actually more than doubling the weight of the rear bumper by adding these tacky fins. I'm surprised no C7 owner has had these heavy fins rip off the light bumper that they're put on. Oh wait. Tacked on diffuser fins, they just suffer from too many problems. Of all the things on this list, this is definitely probably the second worst. Yes, believe it or not, it gets worse than this. The next entry will be worse. And that's because, unlike eyelids and splitter-ons, those are just kind of innocent cosmetic things. This isn't. This truly just screws up your arrow, and it just looks so ugly due to glaring fitment issues. They're never gonna be flush, which just looks terrible. But also, like I said, that affects your arrow because those little gaps make a huge difference the faster and faster you go, because now air can sneak in and start wiggling it. Something a one-piece diffuser or a full diffuser assembly will never suffer from. They don't have those tiny gaps. And like I said, that destroys the purpose of functional arrow, which is to be rigid. So do yourself a favor, get a proper diffuser assembly or diffuser replacement depending on what your car is. I personally just got a carbon diffuser, one piece from APR, it's their version 2. Great diffuser. You own a C7, I can't recommend this diffuser enough. It's gorgeous, it's lighter than the stock diffuser, unlike heavier like the Vicrest was, and it looks wicked, and it also doesn't suffer from Jeremy Clarkson syndrome, aka it doesn't flex when you push on it. I can actually lean my whole body weight against my current diffuser, and it doesn't even flex, whereas the stock C7 diffuser, it will flex with 2 fingers pushing on it. It's that pathetic. Underbody arrow, it's not something you should take lightly, because if you do underbody arrow wrong, you're gonna start going all 1999 Le Mans Mercedes up in here. Vehicular backflips. I'm talking about vehicular backflips. Go look it up. Giant exhaust as well as giant exhaust tips. Do you ever just look at a really clean build, walk to the back, and then just see a really stupid giant exhaust tip, and now you're just like, why? Why would you do that? Contrary to what most teenagers and first-time drivers think, a car's exhaust size, whether that's the tip or the exhaust system itself, is not in direct correlation to its power. I've seen 4-bangers with like 160 horsepower run 6-inch exhaust tips with 4-inch straight pipes. I've got 4 times their power, and I'm still on 3-inch mid-pipe and 4.5-inch outlets. What a lot of beginners don't realize is that making your exhaust larger does not improve horsepower. The whole point of airflow isn't just dependent on the room to move, it actually depends on the pressure and speed that the air flows as well. It's actually dissuaded from exiting faster when you give it too much room. Here's a cool physics experiment you can perform right now using common items in your house. Find a straw and a paper towel. Blow through the straw with one hand on the other side. Can you feel the air? Of course you can. It should feel fast and strong. Now blow through the paper towel roll using the same force. What did you notice now? The air was weak and slow. And that's because the force you're applying wasn't great enough to necessitate that much extra space in the paper towel roll compared to the straw. So the air molecules have so much room to move around that they're just moseying about and just leisurely making their way to the exit instead of hauling ass like they should be. Similar physics are in play with your car's exhaust system. If your car's engine isn't powerful enough to warrant the need of a freaking 4 or 5-inch straight pipe, then you actually are making it weaker by doing that. You would actually get more power by going smaller. So stop doing this for clout culture. I'm so sick of seeing owners of like Subaru Legacies on Instagram like, yeah bruh, 5-inch straight pipe all the way out the back. Those truckers ain't got nothing on this. Those diesel people, they're gels fit. No, they're not. Big boy truckers, they have torque for days. It makes sense why they have a 4-inch setup. Sometimes they even have a 5-inch setup. But for your tiny sedan, it does not need a 5-inch setup if it makes a fraction of the horsepower and torque they do. It's just dangerous too, because if the exhaust isn't properly pressurized and isn't leaving out through the back quickly enough, then it's gonna build up inside the pipes and possibly even burst and cause an exhaust leak. I usually don't tell people how to live their lives or how to modify their cars unless it involves someone else's life, and in this case you are putting your other people's lives, especially the passengers in your car, you're putting their life at risk by subjecting them to possible leaking exhaust. I personally thought I was going to get more hate for saying this, and I definitely will on YouTube, but on Twitter, I was surprised to see people kind of agreed with me. But to be fair, Twitter, according to everyone else on the internet, has an average IQ that's about 50% lower than everywhere else. But in truth, I don't really hate Matt. For the love of God, the reason I just hate how bloody overhyped it is. Everyone and their mom, whether it's a rap shop, someone who recently got their wrapped, or just whatever, anything to do with wraps or plasti dipping especially, they're just so annoying with how much they hype up Matt, like it's the next coming of automotive Christ. Every single wrap shop I visited in ATL would tell me, yeah bro, you sure you don't want an aggressive matte finish? It looks so mean and aggressive. Matte finish, aggressive. This entry alone, if you couldn't tell, inspired this entire video, despite probably being the most benign of all the other mods on this video. And that's just because, like I said, it's all has to do with this stupid hype. Look, if you like matte black, or like matte dark gray, I'm with you there. I get it. I can see how it looks mean. The lack of reflection makes those dark colors look even darker, so it's like, it just looks really mean and aggressive. I get it, okay? But if you're talking about like literally any other matte color, especially matte white, that just looks like unfinished primer to me. Just the lack of reflection, like matte green, matte blue, matte whatever, anything that's not matte black or dark gray, it just feels like my eyes are glitching out and I need to update my brain's graphic card or something, because they just look like a car from a video game that's out of render distance and therefore it's drawn in lower quality lighting. You know how like old PS2 games, if you're playing a racing game and a car is like too far ahead of you, it doesn't have reflections active on it anymore? That's what matte cars look like to me. It looks like real life is refusing to waste its precious GPU on attempting to render these lame finishes. Am I being too harsh? Definitely, but I'm just so sick of all the overrated and overhyped praise that Matt just keeps getting from people. I'll gladly support Satin. I think Satin looks really cool, and I get that not everyone wants a really glossy and really reflective finish, so it makes sense why Satin exists as an option, but I just don't see the appeal of most matte colors. And remember, this is just my personal opinion. This whole video has been my personal opinion, so if any of it offends you, then go distract yourself by watching another one of my videos and just get offended by that one, only to get distracted again by clicking more videos, because that's the beauty of YouTube recommended, baby. So just forget this ever happened. Other than that, thanks for watching. See y'all next time. Blade Angel out.